Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Jeff Salt, Chair of the Voting Advisory Council. I want to welcome everybody to our meeting who are here in person and also those who are attending virtually. I think we should just do a round the table introduction kind of roll call of members of the committee and guests, and then we can go to online for people that are attending online. So I'm Jeff Salt, paddling sport representative and chair of this Augusta committee.
I'm Kent Singleton, the owner of Taggart in Morgan County.
Jeff Glum from Ogden, just visiting.
The name again?
Jeff Glum, Glum, from Ogden.
Ed Askew, just visiting.
George Summer, Voting Advisory Council member.
I'm Brian Curta, the Assistant Voting Law Administrator, Division.
Ty Hunter, I'm the voting program manager for the Division of Outdoor Recreation.
Hey everybody, Jorge Vasquez with the Division of Outdoor Recreation. I'm the Motorized Recreation Grant Analyst. And Nicole.
Hey, Nicole Hanna, Council for Division of Outdoor Recreation and the board.
Thank you, Nicole. And then we can go to online. Let's go with Patrick.
Hey everybody, Patrick Morrison with the Division of Outdoor Recreation.
DeWitt.
Yeah, DeWitt Smith, representing sailing.
Jason.
Jason Taylor, representing the Outfitters.
John. You're on mute there, John.
There's more than one John, so John Larson.
How about now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, John Larson at large.
Tim Herzog.
Yeah, Tim Herzog with the boat shack on the boat dealer side of the council.
And then let's go Jenny.
Hey everyone, Jen Knudsen, water sports.
Adam. Adam Eagle.
Hi, this is Adam. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, I'm driving still to the office, but Adam Eagle with Motorsports, Boat Advisory Council member.
Awesome.
And it looks like we have, do you see the list of guests?
We have a list of guests.
Don't worry about Jeff's no favorite, that's me. So
the process that they'll go through is they'll raise their hand and everything.
yeah, we should explain that to the, if you want. I don't know how this is working, so if you could explain that, Jorge, for the guests that are online and how they'll be able to participate.
Yeah, so if you're going to be a guest online and if you are partaking as just kind of currently as like a visitor and just here to see the Voting Advisory Council meeting, and if you have any sort of comment, you'll end up raising your hand. From there, we can make you a contributor and go from there.
So I see at least the names are names that I recognize. John Schultz is a recognized name that is a legitimate. Ron Dunn and Bill Klopp. Those are all legitimate. They're not disruptors. And I don't know about the others, what Z and
That's ours.
Okay. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah.
I stuck in, yep, just towards the end, I think, the life jacket.
So just go ahead and just say your name and who you are.
Mikhail Christensen with the Utah Drowning Prevention Coalition.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you all for joining. For our first agenda item, we've been taking care of members, staff. We'll now take a look at our minutes from last meeting. And we'll take a minute here for people to review the minutes from May 6th, 2025. And if any of the members that were in attendance would like to make a motion to accept the minutes as drafted or with additions, I'll take a motion.
Did you want to give them a minute to read?
Yeah, that's it. We'll give a minute first.
Just tell me when you're ready to call for the motion.
Okay. I'm assuming that members have had a chance to read the agenda minutes from last meeting. Are there any proposed corrections? John Larson, we're not hearing you. Still not hearing you, John. Is he muted?
I can't.
John, if you could at least raise your hand, you have some corrections to the minutes. We're having a problem unmuting you.
Yeah, I can't unmute you over here, John.
I'll reach out to.
Sorry about the technical delay.
This is Larson. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, thank you, John. Did you have any corrections to the minutes?
No, I did not.
All right. Are there any other members of the committee, live or online, that had any corrections? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a motion.
That we approve the previous meeting minutes.
Okay, a motion by George Summer to approve the minutes. So I have a second.
I'll second Larson.
Okay, John Larson, second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? I'll abstain because I wasn't there. So the motion passes and we will accept those minutes as drafted. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is a general public comment section. And during this section of the agenda, we allow the public to talk about anything that's not already listed on the agenda for discussion or for voting. So if you have another topic of interest, this is your time to get maximum 3 minutes. And if you would introduce yourself, who you represent or what you represent, and your introduction and your comments.
Do I give you a copy?
If you can do that, yes, and we'll give that to Jorge. There's a written comment. Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair and council members. My name is Kent Singleton. I own property in Taggart, Morgan County. What's happening on my land mirrors what the U.S. Supreme Court condemned in the Kellogg versus City of New London, government taking private property for economic benefit under another name. After Kellogg, Utah enacted strong protections so that couldn't happen here. Today, however, Morgan County and the state agencies are doing something worse. They are taking the use of my property without calling it eminent domain. Commercial outfitters and members of the public are using my private land without my permission or compensation. The county issues licenses to outfitters but denies me one, and even refuses to let me install a simple 4-foot T-post to display a no trespassing sign. County staff claim I need a FEMA floodplain permit and a $10,000 no-rise certification. Utah Farm Bureau, and this is the regulation right here. The policy that I hold in my hand supports a landowner's right to fence as provided in state law. That FEMA requirement is erroneous and misapplied. FEMA guidance makes clear that a temporary T-post does not alter flood flow or elevation. By invoking that federally sounding authority, the county is hiding behind floodplain language to stall and control private property, adding a layer of oversight that was never intended. This mix of local obstruction and the misuse of federal references creates a modern version of Kelo, quiet taking through regulation rather than court-ordered eminent domain. I also filed a grant request asking for the official list of the waterways that DNR, DWR, and WIA claim to maintain and consider navigable. I have not received a response. Without that, agencies, the public, and the law enforcement can be misled into believing access is lawful, and when it's not, directing recreation onto private land that has not been opened or compensated. Transparency is the foundation of fairness. If we cannot see the list that is based on the legal foundation and the precedents of U.S. Supreme Court opinions defining navigability for title, neither landowners nor this council can know what is truly public. I respectfully ask this council to require that all boating access maps, signage, programs be based on published, legally verified navigability list as established under guidance of the U.S. Supreme Court opinions. Ensure property owners are consulted and compensated before any public access is designated. Recognize and act to stop misuse of federal floodplain references to block lawful private signage and enable unauthorized public use. Please consider this an additional grant request and a formal request for an agenda item at your next meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Now, we don't take action on public comments during this section. We just take your comments, they're recorded, and we take your written comments.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. Are there any other members of the public? Yes.
Just based on what you just said, okay? I find it disconcerting that a citizen brings an issue to this meeting, and in the process of that does not have a chance to discuss it, nor have a follow-up on it, nor be included on an agenda item in the future, nor be able to have the input that is needed to solve the issue. You're supposed to be looking out for the citizens of this state. Citizens of this state. You're not necessarily, you're supposed to include the outdoor recreational people and all those kinds of things. They're not necessarily in this state, but they use the state. So I find it disconcerting that there's information presented to you in this meeting that's not looked at as if it doesn't matter, because it does matter. Thank you.
Can you identify who you are?
Jeff Blum.
Thank you. Now, just so that some members of the public who are here maybe for the first time, we are an advisory committee and we provide advice to the division. We have no authority to make any policy decisions. So we're completely advisory, and we can take a public comment and at some future point make an agenda item if the council decides. So it is.
It may not, I'm going to interrupt you because it may not seem important to you. It may not seem important to you, but it's important to him. It's important to him. It's important to regular citizens of the state.
We understand.
And so you have some clout related to how that happens. And so I don't know to what extent, sorry, but the Division of Outdoor Recreation is all for outdoor recreation, and more they can have, the better they seem to think it is. It's not necessarily true. And so when things come up that affect what they want to do, just because they want to do it, there are some minor things that may be more important than what they want to do.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make a comment during this section of our meeting?
No.
Okay. Nobody online raising their hands? No. Okay. Great. Thank you. We do appreciate your being here and we appreciate your comments, and they are not ignored. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a discussion about a letter that was drafted and sent to this advisory council from Blake Millet. And Blake Millet is an avid angler. He's the chair of the Muskies Inc. chapter for Utah. And do you have that document that you could pull up for us?
I'm working on pulling it up.
Okay. Blake has expressed concern about access issues. Newton Reservoir is one of his main concerns, and Pine View Reservoir. And some of this involves a lot of multi-agency policy and decision-making and maybe rulemaking eventually. It's for us as an advisory council, I put this on the agenda because the letter was addressed to us to open up a discussion about this. And in our pre-meeting discussion about this item, we mentioned and decided that, well, we're an advisory board. We can discuss this and maybe make a recommendation to the division that these issues that have been brought up in this letter be maybe further investigated or worked on, or coordination between agencies. But our authority as an advisory council is still very limited in what we can recommend. So is that the letter?
Yeah, Jorge, this is the letter.
So I'll open this up to the other members of the advisory council. Have all of you read the letter or not read the letter? And do members of the advisory council kind of understand the gist and the direction that Blake Millet is expressing in his letter?
So I comment, I read the letter, and I actually pulled up a map of Newton, because primarily his concern seemed to be with Newton. And when Newton drops below full pool.
You have to speak up probably a little bit.
So when Newton drops below full pool, it is impossible for somebody to water ski on there without violating the proximity law. And in some cases, in the upper end of the reservoir, it's only 150 feet wide total. So he has a valid point. I've fished Newton before, and when people are water skiing on it, it's dangerous.
So the issue of conflict between user groups, I think, is a legitimate topic for us to be, taking input, researching, providing advice to the division at, all times. What kind of advice we give is up to us. But I've gotten to know Blake Millet a little bit over this last year, and he's an intense person, but he has intense interests, and he's devoted to, his fishing and the type of fishing that he focuses on, which is musky fishing, which is very specialized. And his group is very active. And I think for me, I think it's an issue that we should be always discussing and providing constant input for the division. And that hopefully there can be maybe some way of coming to resolution on some of these conflict of use issues. But I don't know what the answer is. Any other comments from members of the advisory council about the letter and the issues that have been brought up? Is anybody raising their hands?
No.
Okay. Is there any suggestion from council members as to what we should do in response to the letter? George?
Well, the challenge is, I don't know what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem there, but it's not a publicly owned body of water, to the best of my knowledge. the town of Newton, some of the things that are in his letter, the city of Newton should be addressing in the county. But as far as the rest of this stuff, I guess it would call for enforcement if possible when it drops below full pool. But I'm unaware of what can be done.
So if I may chair with that.
Sure. Ty.
In talking, so Ty Hunter with the Division of Outdoor Recreation, so your comments of below full pool with that. The Bureau of Reclamation came to, at that point in time, it was the Division of Parks and Recreation. And they requested that we added a zoning to Newton Reservoir. So it's when the elevation reached 4,761 feet above sea level, then Newton Reservoir became wakeless with that. Now, a lot of that sits, I think, as you kind of hit it on the nail on the head there, it sits with enforcement with that. So with our water years being where they are at, most of the time this is mainly would be a wakeless reservoir with that. It is owned by the Water Users Association, and the Bureau of Reclamation has a large play in that. The Bureau is aware of Mike's complaints and of the status and situation. Blake's, sorry. Wrong person. Thank you, Jeff, on that one. So on Blake's complaints with that. And so they are, I do know that the Bureau of Reclamation is looking at what to do with Newton Reservoir as we speak.
Cool.
Well, probably not as we speak. When a budget may get passed, that they can come back and think about it.
Might be a challenge there.
Well, and Ty, this is probably not the only water body where this issue comes up, right? As far as proximity rules, and I mean, Pineview Reservoir, probably there's conflicts there. Deer Creek, Jordanelle could probably have problems similar to this. Wouldn't you think that would be a fair characterization that there are?
Yeah, most of the other ones, though, there's enough water availability or space that, yeah, there's conflicts, but they're not as condensed as Newton is. And a lot of, like Jordanelle, the conflicts at Jordanelle are mostly on the ramp.
Yeah,
that's true. And Jordanelle has a wakeless arm. I think Deer Creek, Wallsburg is wakeless. What was the other body of water?
Pineview.
Pineview's always, because it's so urbanized. I don't know if there's a wakeless area on Pineview. Is there?
Yeah.
But Pineview has other problems besides this.
You're right.
But user conflicts are probably only going to get worse. And the discussion at this point is probably a good time to start a discussion on, is there a solution in the future?
So what advice could we potentially forward on to the division as to what they might consider doing? I mean, should we suggest to them, hey, you need to form a committee, or you need to look into this, or you need to, interact with other agencies to come up with solutions? What can we recommend? Or is there a recommendation we can start with?
I would probably ask if law enforcement has any plans in the future to do some sort of a patrol there. I know it's a ways away from me. But that would be probably, do you have anything in mind for the future of taking a peek at Newton?
I think we can ask our North Region that and see with the creation of the Division of Law Enforcement there with that, and trying to build these regions and the patrol districts within those regions. We're working on those processes. So
And that would be
it might be one guy that's going to be able to have to go from Hiram to there. And
that
so
would be an ask on my deal is could we look at that?
Tim.
Yes, sir.
It'll be in the, on the public notice website.
Did you not get the email, Tim? I mean, the letter?
Well, I think I just got the 2 attachments. Or did it just barely get sent out, or where?
It was sent out in August.
I can send it out to you, Tim.
So it's just a violation for enforcement.
I'm not gonna get your name.
You're good.
He had an idea.
There's a perfect solution right there, gentlemen. When it's below his level, there should be signs that say no way, and it's faithless.
Thank
And
you.
he can enforce it.
So, thank you. Appreciate that. There is a sign present.
A sign?
Oh, it's probably at the boat ramp.
At the boat ramp.
It is at the boat ramp.
And that's where people are expected
Primarily,
to
that's
see whatever regulations, rules, that's where you're supposed to look and
the only
see.
place you can actually access it.
Okay.
With a boat is, and it's an exciting boat ramp.
Yeah.
They're all exciting. This one is more so.
Yeah.
I've never been there, so.
Okay, so Brian, do you have any thoughts or input as to at least the topic of, competing uses and proximity conflicts? What's your perspective in terms of, how could you possibly have, enough agents out there enforcing on every water body?
What,
Couldn't, right?
with the creation, and piggyback off of what Ty said, with the creation of the Division of Law Enforcement and combining efforts, not only through outdoor recreation, not through wildlife and forestry and fire, and then state parks, taking all those officers, making them aware of this issue, we can address that a little bit more easier, where we're not confined as a state ranger confined to a state park anymore. We can get out to these areas. It's just going to take some time in teaching the public on these rules. Now that it's not just a sign or anything, it's actual enforcement rule, and teaching our new officers that have come and joined. So wildlife obviously can now enforce or make them aware of this. So if they're out and about, that they can address that same issue and understand what those issues are, with the 150-foot speed and proximity rule, and then this obviously below water elevation, where we can address that. So,
And is this a topic that could be incorporated into the required trainings that people have to complete?
Well, I would expect proximity to be a part of that.
Maybe robust, improve the messaging in the trainings.
exactly.
Okay. So does that give the division at least some food for thought?
It does. Yep.
There's nothing concrete yet that we can recommend. I think it's just the beginning to start the process and look into the issue further, and see what needs to be done, or what could be done, and what can't be done. Because, segregating waterways will be very difficult, and if not impossible. But how are we going to get people to get along and respect other people's uses? That's always a challenge.
And then the other thing we've mentioned as well is getting buy-in from the city as well, or the county as well,
Or whoever
yeah.
has responsibility for that waterway, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Any more discussion about this item? Okay. If not, let's move on to item number 5. This is a proposal for a change in the fee for inflatable motorized vessels less than 10 feet. And we'll start off with a presentation about the proposal by Ty Hunter. And then this item will have a public comment. So as you listen online and in person, if you're interested in this issue, take notes, think and listen carefully, and then we will allow 2 or 3 minutes, should we?
3, please.
Okay. We will allow 3 minutes per comment during the public comment section, and after the public comment,
Yes, sir.
we will close the hearing. Is that correct? And then we will discuss and take a vote. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, because we had talked about a different
I'll walk
format.
you through with like the roll calls and stuff if I see anything that's going askew.
Yeah.
I let it slide on the minutes because that's the easy one, but I'll walk you through it.
Okay. Well, we discussed the idea of having the public hearing left open for an hour or something, but I'm thinking that the public hearing, after public comment, then we would close public
Oh,
comment.
so you want to change it around from that? So
Well, that's how we
usually
have
with
it.
Fees, so usually with fees, we do give a dedicated amount of time that people are able to address the fees. Because you guys are doing this as within kind of a larger meeting, I don't see an issue with identifying that you are discussing the fees and then getting any kind of public comment. I would leave it open for enough of a time to allow someone to comment should they want to.
Who hadn't previously commented.
Who hadn't previously commented. And then, for example, if someone was experiencing technical difficulties and wanted to comment later on, I think it would be equitable to allow them to do so. So we can just say, we're officially closing public comment, but if you'd like, you could have the board then recognize the individual again. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay,
Now,
fair enough.
as we get close to the end of our agenda, we won't be able to allow that same time period for each item, it seems like, that.
Well, you guys can kind of run this the way that you want to
So
run
we
it.
want to do like maybe another 20 or 30 minutes after the comments, would that be appropriate?
I think the fact that you guys have already been meeting for the first 30 minutes, and that people were aware because of the title and that this was going to be discussed and fees were going to be discussed, I feel like you, in this case, wouldn't have to give them an additional period of time if you didn't want to.
Oh, okay, that's,
Like a large period of time, like 30 minutes at the end of the meeting. But I think that you need to have enough time that people are able to address the issue.
okay.
So we've got 30 minutes, right? Right now.
Well, this item, we have about 15 minutes.
Right,
Wow.
but we started the meeting at 4, and if you think about it, then anyone then would have joined the meeting at 4 in preparation to discuss this fees issue. So that's why I feel like they have a
So we can
significant
close
amount of
public
time.
comment after.
Yes.
Okay. For clarification.
If you wanted to, you can, or we can leave it open
For
for just,
another few
Yeah.
minutes after? Sure.
Yep. we
Okay.
can do that, that's no problem.
So sorry about that. We had just had to clarify our process on this. This is our first actual public hearing and action item from the council. So what we're going to do again is have the presentation. We'll allow those who are online and in person to make 3-minute comments. And then we'll leave the comment period open for this item for maybe another 20 minutes afterwards, in case somebody joins late. Okay, Ty, time is up to you.
All right, Jorge's gonna bring up and put this language in front of you, so you don't have to listen, just listen to me. You can listen and read if you want with that. So thank you, appreciate the time to be here. As part of fees processes, so registration fees are authorized by Title 73, Chapter 18, 7(2) of the Utah Annotated Code. And in accordance with 63J1-504 of the Utah Annotated Code, therefore I'm proposing a new fee in this public meeting. The current situation is that they're currently, and I should say not in full, in full effect right now, a statewide boating fee, vessels less than 16 feet in length are $20. The second tier of that is a statewide boating fee of vessels 16 feet and greater in length, including personal watercraft, are $40. The reason between the differentiation, the difference between those two is the amount of work that is done. On the most part, the ones in the number 1 section, the first ones that I've mentioned, are non-titled craft. The ones in the second section, the $40 sections, are craft that are required to have titles on the most part. It's, in essence, a rule of thumb to be given with that. So the reason why I'm here is because we've had a legislative constituent contact his legislator and request either free or reduced a registration fee for a small inflatable vessel. Constituent argued that over, and hopefully I got this right.
Oh, you saying it was me?
Oh, I'm expecting you to comment on this one if you had that. Sorry about that. I threw you under the bus. You didn't hear it coming. But anyway, within over 3 to 4 years, he would be ended up paying more in registration fees than the original purchase price of the vessel. Okay, meetings were held and an agreement was reached to propose a new registration fee for motorized inflatable vessels less than 10 feet in length. This change would allow a vessel to be counted for both state and federal funding, which is based off the number of registered vessels each year. The division expects a loss of $15 per vessel with this new fee. We recommend the following fee be added to the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation's fee schedule for the 2026 legislative session. Statewide boat registration fee. Inflatable motorized vessels less than 10 feet in length, $5, effective January 1 of 2027.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's on that one.
Oh, okay. So, so this is a new fee in addition to the $20 fee. So it'll be a $25 fee.
No.
Okay. So
There are 3 tiers. I gave you the first 2 tiers. One's a $20, which is 16 feet or less, and then 16 feet and greater, also including personal watercraft, are $40. So it's a 20 and 40 right now. This would be a third one to be placed in. It would be $5 for the specific craft of a inflatable motorized vessel that is less than 10 feet.
Okay. So inner tubes, basically without motors, no fee.
No.
Okay.
Non-motorized is not affected by this at all.
Okay. All right. Anything else presentation wise on the fee?
Not on this one.
Okay. And then this fee will be brought to the legislature during the 2026 session.
Mm-hmm. As part of our fee schedule, and then that goes through the legislative approval process.
So can I ask a question, Jeff?
Sure.
Hey, Ty. So currently, somebody who has a vessel less than 10 feet and it's motorized, do they have to pay the $20?
Yes.
So this is a reduction.
Reduction from that, yes, sir.
So that, for those online, this is a reduction. Because there's been confusion, at least people that have talked to me about this. So can you just emphasize that again, Ty, that this will be a reduction for those?
So this new fee will add in a third tier to it. Vessels less than 10 feet in length that are inflatable, motorized hulls are $5. That's $5 for the state fee. I cannot say what, with that one, it's probably an additional 10 for inflatable vessels for the county fee and the new boating. But this is just a state registration fee. So fees that boaters pay right now are their state registration fee, the county fee, which is the fee in lieu of taxes, and then it will be their AISD account that they'd have to purchase out of that.
And are counties collecting fees for under 16 foot?
What's that?
Are counties currently collecting fees for vessels under 16 feet?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So counties are doing that. Now, come January 1 of 2026, that county fee is actually split in half with that. And that county fee, it still will be the exact same amount there, but in 2026, half of that county fee in lieu of taxes will go to the county, and the other half will come to the Division of Outdoor Recreation for the Utah Boating Grant.
Okay.
What is that breakdown currently?
The breakdown for the county fees.
Correct.
So that breakdown, if you were to go on to DMV, Utah's DMV website and hit the age-based, length-based, or the, I will look it up exactly what that was. But I walk myself through this one because I don't put it on saved with that. So
Does the county get all the money?
currently the counties get the money now. And then officially in January 1, that is a split.
And that's because that's something we've talked about in the past.
In the past, yes, sir.
Advisory Council, because all of that, none of that money in Salt Lake County goes to any developments or
No.
improvements for angler
Correct.
access.
And when it goes to the Utah Boating Grant, it'll be open for state, county, and municipalities for boating. Can you,
Yeah.
Jorge,
so-
pop that one? That's in your wheelhouse.
So it's going to be for like eligible entities are going to be obviously your city, county, and municipalities, just as Ty mentioned, state agencies, and then water conservancy districts. And then that funding can be used for construction on, any boating amenity that's not owned. Whether that's your restrooms, the parking lots for boats, boat ramps, boat docks. There's an erosion aspect to it for the reservoir, motorized and non-motorized access points. So trying to, play nice with your motorized and non-motorized boat, separating the use, so creating non-motorized access points and a search and rescue aspect part to it. I'm pretty sure there's one more that I might be forgetting, but
You did a lot better than I did.
So, and to clarify, on the fee for the county, do owners of vessels then have to pay a county fee in every county that they plan to use the boat, just where they register?
Just where they register. So the county that they have their home address.
Domicile.
Yep.
Okay. I hope that's clear to everybody here in the meeting and online of what this proposal does.
We have a hand raised.
Okay.
on one of
Jason,
So it was kind of muffled, and so I don't know if I understood it completely, but I'm having a hard time with this. Kind of like so it was $20 for all vessels up to 16 feet, inflatable or non-inflatable, right?
Yes, sir.
motorized.
Yeah. So now you're taking it down to
Motorized vessels.
motorized vessels, whether they have air in them or foam in them or hard hull, whatever. It was up to $20. And now you're kind of dropping it down to $5. My question is like, at $5, are you at a net loss? Because is it going to have a sticker? Is it going to have hourly rate for someone whoever in the courthouse to do this? Stuff. It's like, why not just make it $0 and no, you don't have to register if it's up to 10 feet inflatable. It seems like you're at a loss once you start printing stickers and managing it and everything.
Well, people from the comments section, we will get to you. We're just having discussion right now amongst advisory council members and staff. So,
Okay, go back. I'll address Jason's last in this. George, it's the uniform age base fee tables on DMV's website. Okay, Jason, to answer your question on this one, yes, we are seeing a loss, but we're able to cover what's there. If we go with no registration for those vessels, we lose even more money.
Okay.
Out of that aspect there. And what that means is that those vessels are not counted as registered vessels for the state of Utah. So we lose federal funding, and that's federal gas and excise taxes that we lose out of that. And then we also lose state gas taxes also. And then we're seeing the division ourselves is seeing a $15 loss in this process. But it will cover motor vehicles costs to be able to register that vessel.
So the $5 is basically a way to count these vessels.
Correct.
Okay.
And do we have any idea at this point, inflatable 10 feet versus 16 foot or less, you know, the number, it'll be now number 2 tier, I guess. Do you have any numbers? I mean, is this
I don't
going to be a big
I
number of
don't
people?
think this is not going to be, if it was a 23-foot boat, we'd be having a big loss.
Mhm.
We're not going to be seeing that.
Yeah. So the numbers of inflatable motorized under 10 feet
For now.
for now is not that big.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the hit to the division's money on this is not going to be that great, but you'll still maintain matching funds from the feds, which is important.
If we get them.
Isn't that part of our funding for the, because it's gas tax?
Okay.
So that's when I refer to that as that's program funding. So that pays for what's going on now. And so we are going to be seeing a loss of some funds in that aspect, but we're not losing it all. So that's where we kind of came in the in between and did a compromise with that.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from members of the advisory council before we open up for public comment? Adam, do you have any comment?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
I mean, I get this constituent's complaint, right? I mean, he shouldn't be paying anywhere near what I paid for a $60,000 bass boat or my 28-foot Sea Ray. So this makes total sense. I mean, I can see $5 is it gets them included, and if it's not costing the division money to do it, then I think $5 is reasonable. I think that anything more than that is, I think they've been getting ripped off, honestly.
And it keeps people, like George had said at the beginning of this meeting, skin in the game, right? I mean, if you're going to be, having a recreational activity, then you should at least contribute something to the programming and enforcement and facilities. Otherwise, you're just being a freeloader, right? But the $5,
proportionate, though, in my opinion, it should be proportionate. I mean, he's spending $1,000 on his boat with a little electric motor, and he shouldn't be having to pay $20 or $40 or whatever it was. $5 is plenty. Sounds like a good proposal to me.
Okay. All right. So let's start with the people in the queue for public comment. Are there any folks here in the meeting in person that wish to speak to this issue? If you could, okay, 1, 2. Okay. So if you would, please identify yourself, maybe if you represent a group, and you get 3 minutes.
Hey, my name's Ed Askew. I don't know if I'm big enough for a group, but I bought just one of those one-man pontoon fishing boats, and I used it for years. And then one year I was up at Manning Reservoir, and the wind blew me away, and I about died getting back to my truck. And so I bought a $100 electric motor on KSL, and it opened up a whole can of worms. And I used it multiple years, and I'd never even seen anybody register one. And then last year, an enforcement guy was talking to me about fishing. He's like, "You need to register that." So I'm like, so I went and looked into registering. I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me. This is crazy." And so that's when I talked to my representative, and he was going to pass, a bill saying we didn't have to. And then we started talking to Ty, and we opened up our, we learned about how they get matching money from the Fed and all this other stuff. And so I was like, well, you lower the fee, and then we educate people. Maybe there are more people doing it. And so, but this year I did go register everything. Ty sent me a bunch of information. I went and registered it. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't get the placards. I used a political sign. It worked good.
To each their own.
Put them on GoPro on the side. And so anyway, that's why this is kind of started out. So I mean, I think it's not a $300,000 ski boat. It's just I'm into it $500, and I mean I'm probably into it now $100 with the quad muscle fee and all the other stuff and getting everything. But it doesn't have a title. I had to take it down twice to the Department of Motor Vehicles because they had to look and make sure it didn't have a VIN number. But
That is a problem.
It's like an inflatable, but anyway, that's where this kind of happened. And I didn't know about all these fees that you get from the federal government and everything else. So that's why it kind of, where it's come from.
Are you in support of the proposal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Good.
This way it's counted as a fed, you get money. So it was like $70. I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to refresh that in my mind.
Sorry. We had like 3 or 4, I can't remember how many calls.
Yeah, there's 27 that we get from, I think you're right, it's in the 70s. It's
Yeah.
$27, $28 from the federal government. And then we get 53, 55, somewhere around there from the state gas tax.
Yeah.
We're able to do that.
And we couldn't get rid of the whole registration because it's a federal law with the Coast Guard.
It is
So,
a requirement with with all motorized vessels that
Yeah.
the state number them.
so we didn't know that, but so that's,
Okay,
it was
thank
education.
you. We appreciate your comment.
Okay, Jeff Lum, I'm in favor of it, but I have a question. Question would be, can the legislature dictate to the local jurisdiction how much they can charge on their fee?
On which fee?
County.
The county fee or the
County
local
fees?
fee or whatever the other fee is. that you
If the county, if they see fit and go through the legislative process, they can change that.
Okay, so the legislature can make a determination on the local, what they can charge,
On
They
the,
can-
on the
but they
uniform,
can-
on the uniform fee, yes, sir.
but then they can appeal that back to the legislature, the local jurisdictions.
Trying to understand what you're saying, what you're asking.
Okay, so as a legislature, I'm gonna say, okay, the county can only charge $5.
Okay.
Blanket across the state for their fee. But the local jurisdictions say we want 10.
Then they would have to get with their legislators who represent
Okay,
them
so they'd have to
and go
appeal
through the
and do all that.
legislative process.
So
So
I think,
all of this, and that uniform fee it is in essence a tax. It's a fee in lieu of tax.
okay,
And it is legislated, goes through the legislative process.
okay, so I think there needs to be a basic fee that the counties charge as well as the state.
And that's what the uniform fee is.
Okay.
Is that your comment?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Let's go online.
Bill quote.
Bill Quach,
It shouldn't be more than the state fee.
can you,
Right.
is he allowed now in? We have this two-step process, so be patient with us.
So just one more time, just to clarify, if Quap wants to actually
You have to raise your
raise
hand
your hand.
on your computer, down at the bottom of your screen, you have to do a hand raise,
Shouldn't be more than
Bill's
the
done it
state
2 times already.
okay?
We just weren't ready to hit him. We can hit
And
him.
make a contributor, okay.
All right, so he's available where he can make a comment.
Okay, is your mic live, Bill? You have to unmute. You're still, there you go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now we can, Bill. Yeah, if you would please identify yourself and any group that you may be representing.
Yes, my name is Bill Quap. I'm a member of the State Trout Unlimited Council. I'm a member and past president of High Country Fly Fishers, the Trout Unlimited chapter. I'm also on the Blue Ribbon Advisory Council, and I'm a quite avid stillwater fisherman. And I want to commend Ty for his efforts to make equitable fees such that a $100,000 or $200,000 power boat it doesn't get the same license, or maybe change it. My 9-foot fractional horsepower, which is I've converted 45 pounds of thrust one time to horsepower, and I think it's 0.7 horsepower, but don't quote me on that. I can redo my engineering numbers and get an accurate thing, but it's very small, as most people who know these inflatable boats recognize. And anyway, in a nutshell, I want to mention something that the fee won't be still $5, even if that would be adopted. The fee would be in Wasatch County anyway, where I pay a $10 county fee and then the $20 AIS fee. I'm still paying $35. Now, those of you who know me know that I can afford that. And I get even with a lot of fish at Strawberry and Starvation and have a great time. And my $35 a year is a very modest amount of money for my recreation. However, an anecdotal story that happened to me 2 or 3 years ago, I had an occasion to go into the sheriff's office or the police officer down in Heber. And on my way out of it, and there was a law enforcement official. I had my boat in the back of my truck, and we got to talking. And he is probably a great example where equity is important, because he said, I've got a boat like that, but I have young kids and I can't go out very often. And with the license fee, which at the time was $53 before Ty took some of his efforts to reduce the fee more equitably, he says, I just don't license my fee and I don't use my boat because the few times I can go out, it's much too expensive for me. This policeman is telling me this to license the fee. And I use the term license in the broadest sense of the word. We all think of the total fee as our license, no matter how many different labels you put on it. So I encourage this effort to make it more equitable. On a separate agenda item, I would like to recommend that the AIS fee be differentiated in the future also, such that small boats such as mine don't pay the same thing as those that go down to Powell and generate a risk for quagga mussel contamination of our waters in the north. So that's a different subject, but it's part of the whole issue of equitable fees for motorized boats. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We appreciate that. Now, just to remind people, 3 minutes goes by really quick. So you want to make your comments as succinct as possible, and it'd be helpful for us to hear whether you support or oppose the proposal in your comment. But thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Next, John Schultz. We're going to have you recognized as a contributor, and make sure that you turn on your mic.
Okay, I'm good to go, I think.
Okay, we can hear you, John. Please go ahead and identify yourself and any group you may be representing.
My name is John Schultz. I'm the vice chairman of the Utah Anglers Coalition and the chairman of the Friends of the Strawberry Valley, and a past president of a TU chapter as well. And I go along with Bill Quap's comments. I think that, I'm glad to see, I appreciate Ty's efforts on our behalf. I've been licensing my boat for numbers of years, and I have 3 pontoon boats as well as a larger boat. And for me to register everything when there's my wife and I using them, other than an occasional loan to somebody that wants to try a kick boat, it gets pretty expensive. And I greatly appreciate any efforts to lower the fees to where they're more reasonable. And I certainly support this idea. And I agree with Bill. Our little electric motors don't have any water passing through them. They don't have a bilge. We don't have live wells or anything. So the AIS fees as well are pretty substantial for what possible damage we can do in the event of a quagga mussel invasion or whatever. But thanks much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, John. We appreciate your comments and participating. I think our next online participant would be Ron Dunn. So Ron, we're going to make you eligible to make comment. If you're still there, there he is. Go ahead and raise your hand, Ron. Did he?
He's good. He's
Okay.
on there. He's raised it.
He's raised his hand, okay. And now you're made a contributor, so make sure your mic goes live, Ron.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll repeat, please identify yourself and any group you might be representing.
Hello, I'm Ronald Dunn. I represent the Strawberry Anglers Association. I agree with what Bill and John have just said. I'd like to see the fee lowered. I live in Salt Lake County, so the fees we pay here are excessive considering that we have no flat water sources to utilize our pontoon boats. It's fairly expensive for our members, many of whom in Strawberry Anglers are older, so they'd like to have a motor on their pontoon boat, and hence the expense for some is questionable if it justifies the amount. So if you can lower the fee, I wish Salt Lake County was as progressive. But once again, I readily accept and agree with this fee lowering recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Are there any other members of the public that are tuned in that would like to comment on this item? I'm not seeing any other names. If you would raise your hand if you're in the public and want to comment on this. Okay, not hearing or seeing any other members of the public. I think we could probably close the public hearing at this point. Okay, so we will close the public hearing, open it for final discussion amongst the council members, and then we'll take a motion to take action. So anybody from the advisory council that would like to chime in on this after hearing public comment? Jason, are you good? Adam, you're good? DeWitt? Okay. Jenny? Tim?
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Any others?
Could we have Tim give us a vocal, yes or no, please?
He gave a thumb up. Yeah, we need to have vocal, Tim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion, right?
No, we didn't do a
thumbs
motion.
up.
He's
Yes.
just asked.
Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, so I will entertain a motion at this point from the council members as to supporting this proposal.
We approve and accept the proposed fee.
Okay,
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I
Yeah.
was just looking at you. Looked at
okay,
me.
so
There we
it
go.
was a motion by George Summers.
I'll second it. Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor seconded the motion. Any other discussion? If not, let's have a vote. All those in favor of the proposal as brought forward by George, raise your hands and say aye. You need vocal.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstaining? It seems to be unanimous that we will support the motion, the proposal. Great, thank you. We did go way past our time for this item, so we'll have to try to get through the rest of the agenda
Try to read faster.
accordingly. So our next item, which will be a presentation and also open for public comment, is a proposed boat dealer fee. So Ty, take it away.
Okay, kind of giving the background, it's the same items that by Utah law, I'm proposing a fee increase in this meeting. Boat dealers currently, so these are boat dealers that in essence get their dealer plate for boats. Is that hopefully that's the easiest that I can say. It's the dealer plate for boats the dealer can use for test demonstration, servicing, and testing of any vessels that's part of their dealership inventory and available for immediate sell. The fee of $25 was set in March of 2014. By then, the Utah Parks and Recreation Board, and it has not been modified since. During that time, there have been fee increases in regular boat registrations, but yet the dealer registration fee and numbering fee has not been increased. So we, as the Division of Outdoor Recreation, recommend the following fee increase to be adjusted on the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation's fee schedule for the 2026 legislative session. Boat dealer number and registration fee, $30, effective no later than July 1 of 2026.
July 1, 2026 effective date.
Yes, sir.
And an increase from $25 to $30.
Yes, sir.
So when I register, when I get all of ours in April, I'm still paying the $25.
Yep. Go laughing, John.
So when you so Tim, when you say all of yours, like how many do you do?
We usually get a handful. I mean, I've got a couple different locations and different salesmen, so they all need, we can be out in the water multiple times.
Okay.
So this is not a deal breaker for a dealer, right?
I would sure hope not.
It definitely is. And looking at this, is that when one of these boats are being used, a regular boater is paying $40 and the dealers are paying $30, and they're buying 5 or 10 or 1 or 2, depending on whatever they choose to.
And they can use it on different boats.
Yes, sir.
So
And there's nothing else changing around that, correct? Just the fee?
Just the fee on that one. That's nothing's changing on that one. I know there's been a lot of comments about aquatic invasive species, and that we can talk about that here, but the Division of Outdoor Recreation has nothing to do with aquatic invasive species laws and rules.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from council members? George? Adam?
Seems like a reasonable fee increase.
Okay. Tim?
I'm good.
Jason?
I'm good.
Jenny?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I'm good.
John?
I'm not sure. Tim's pretty easy with this. Maybe we should raise it to 35.
Now I'm
with
gonna
it.
have an issue.
I was kind of thinking that's it.
Gee. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments?
Maybe
from
I should be the one that gives the pushback so we can be a happy medium there. I think we should go down.
Yeah. All right, so let's open up for public comment. I don't know, I didn't see any names on our internet list. Are there any folks from the public online that wish to speak to this issue? If you would raise your hand on screen. Okay, I'm not seeing any input. Are there any folks here in attendance that would like to speak to this action item? Okay. Seeing no response from the public, I think we should close the public hearing for this item.
We can do that, but if someone later wants to comment on it, I would recommend allowing that.
Okay.
Because we're doing this as part of a larger meeting, but it was a short time to consider.
Yeah. Okay, so we will, if anybody joins the meeting between now and 5:30 for this item, then we will allow them to comment.
Thank you.
Okay, so semi-closing, conditionally closing the public hearing. I'll turn it back to council members. Any other further discussion, questions? And if not, I would love to entertain a motion.
This is Larson. I'd make a motion that we do increase the $30 up to $30 per decal effective no later than July 1 of 26 for both dealers for an registration fee.
So a motion by John Larson to support the proposal.
I'll second it.
seconded by George Sommer. Further discussion, questions from council members? Jump in, last chance. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of supporting the proposed fee increase, if you would raise hands and give a verbal aye.
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 I
Oh, we need to do roll call, I'm sorry.
We need to do a roll call?
We do.
Okay, roll call. George?
Aye.
Jeff? Aye. Tim?
I
Adam?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Jason?
Aye again.
Jenny?
Aye.
DeWitt?
Aye.
Okay, I think that's everybody.
And then if that
And
was,
then any opposed? And anybody abstaining? Okay, it looks like the motion passed unanimously.
and then I was just gonna say, if that was the case for this one, is, I'm assuming we'd need to do that with the last one,
Yeah.
correct?
Did we do a roll call for the last one? We called everybody's name.
Prior to the motion.
Oh, sorry.
I was
Okay.
looking, I was like, well, okay.
We want to make sure we do it all right.
Trying to keep you awake,
I was
Ashley.
trying to let you slide by, but you caught me.
All right, our next item then is number 9 on the agenda, information discussion and action. I guess this is going to be action? No action on this one. Okay, we are going to open for public comment. This is a proposed change to Administrative Rule 650-215-5 and 6, requiring or not requiring the use of life jackets in certain running waters of the state.
Yeah.
Ty, would you like to give us a presentation?
Thank you. Really kind of quick. Let me give you a little bit of a background. Currently in Utah Administrative Rule, the classifications of rivers were moved away from the type 1 through 5 because they are very subjective classifications. Jeff's classification would be different from mine. Brian's would be there, Jorge's, everybody else in this room would have different classifications for a particular river. So we took two types of rivers that we could delineate in law, and one is what we have is called flat water areas, which were already delineated in rule. And there's quite a bit of that. I know a lot of this is in Jason's shop dealing with the Green River and the Colorado, going through those sections that are delineated as flat water area. An adult can loosen and or remove a life jacket through those flat water sections with it. The rest of the time, they have to wear them. Now, some outfitters allow that, some outfitters don't, and that's where it is. But on the most part, that's what we have, and this will play true for the Weber River, for the Provo River. It even goes into the Sevier River. Trying to think where else. Virgin, also Logan, other places that we're seeing some floating, but the big ones are the Green, the Colorado, the Sevier, and the Provo and Weber rivers. So those ones that are ones that we have the effect of folks on there. So a legislator came before us with some notes dealing with AIS, but then also had some questions about life jackets and life jacket wearing. Some of that is that the legislator felt like the carriage of life jackets on vessels for a life jacket for each person that's on the vessel was a bit egregious and that we needed to move away from that. We cannot do that. We cannot do that because federal law dictates that. So we have that piece there. So it was also discovered in his searching through this piece here that Utah considers our waterways mainly whitewater, and we require the wear of jackets in those areas that are not deemed flat water. just for the overall safety of folks. And he felt that that was too much government overreach at that point in time. And so asked that we look at ways of loosening this. His personal preference would be to only have rivers that the sheriff's offices deem that are problem areas that are a mandatory wear on the river areas. How to address that? I don't know, because it's going to be an awful lot of work. It means going through 29 counties. It means a very robust rule that particularly could be opened and closed annually until we get it right. With that, there is another option, since some of the rivers that the legislator has mentioned was the Sevier and the Virgin rivers, that we go through and look at leaving the administrative rules as they are in our 650-215 and zoning those waters as a non-whitewater area. So there's two ways we could do that. That seems to be the less obtrusive one to kind of work through, because a lot of these, I mean, Jason would know what this sentences to 206, which is the carrying passengers for hire rule. And there's a lot of things that are all intertwined. And if we were to turn around and say, okay, so flat water areas are going to be mandatory wear areas and everywhere else is not other way. Flat water areas, I just really screwed that one up. You can see my confusion where I'm at right now with this one. Our zoned waters would be exempt from what we have from our white water right now, if we do it that way. If we go back through and reverse this and say river section, so let's see, A section, let's see, Jason, let's go off of where you have Colorado River. Where's your flat water area from?
So like on the Colorado River, you have like flat water area. Take Cataract Canyon, where like from the Potash boat ramp to the confluence of the Green and Colorado River is no life jacket, and then from the confluence down to Lake Powell, or is a whitewater section.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if we were to do this, we would turn this around and say, okay, from the Utah-Colorado border to X, mile marker or X geographical area on the Colorado River before Westwater is not whitewater.
Right.
Westwater is whitewater. Then we would define the Westwater down to a certain point, stop that, then we would have not a non-wearing section. They would still have to carry, they just don't have to wear it. This was actually looking too for children. He wanted to have exemptions for children on this also. So with this all being said, in this piece here, we can do this per 29 counties, and we can go through each one and reverse the way that we're saying it right now, and really, in essence, make them more robust. Or we can look at zoning the waters, or we can look at not doing anything at all and see if we can brave it through a legislative session. So that's something I want to kind of bring forth for discussion here. I am going to tell you that our rivers, on the most part, our river injury and fatality numbers are extremely low for our state of Utah. If we go to our neighbor to the east, I'm happy we're not them, because their fatality and injury numbers are dwarf what we have. We're usually on, I don't want to jinx it, so voters are whatever, superstitious with that, but to say we run on fatalities about a 10-year cycle. Colorado's an annual, if not monthly, as we go with that. Are their laws different? Some places yes, and some places no. But I feel like we have a very good running machine as we're running it right now. It's just a matter of, I'm looking for advisement from the council. or how to maybe potentially approach this. And also from public.
So is it time
Yeah.
for me to ask a question?
Chime in.
Is what we have now broken?
No, from my professional opinion and statistics that back that up, it's not broken.
So I have another question. Do you see stand-up paddleboarders and such on stream sections?
Yes, more and more.
Because I've watched the fatalities, and a lot of them occur with stand-up paddleboarders because they're not wearing a life jacket. They don't even have one on with them. And I would hesitate to do anything that's going to increase that fatality rate.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. If we reverse this, it makes the law very confusing. Not only confusing for the administration, but also confusing for enforcement, confusing for the public. It's just awfully hard with that. We were trying to make it less confusing with that and more easily enforced and more easily. Go ahead.
I have a question. What's the justification then for stopping the requirement of kids or anyone under 18? You know, it's different depending on how old you are, but how is that benefited by changing?
It's benefited because it's not broad government overreach.
Got it, okay. Which I understand when it comes to adults. I think it's a more difficult argument when it comes to kids.
Yeah.
Jason.
So I was going to say, like, the system that's set up right now, in my opinion, is not broke. It's pretty clear, like, where you can wear life jackets, where you can't wear life jackets. And like you said, like, we have a really good safety record, you know, and so I don't know, I makes me nervous, like, trying to fix something that's really not broke at this time, you know, for the area that I'm in, or for the industry I'm in and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
I'll add a comment. You know, when I started taking kayak classes, one of the first rules is you wear your life jacket. I mean, you just never know when you're going to roll or tip. You could cross an eddy line even in flat water and roll if you're not experienced. You could do a turnout and overdo it, and you could roll and be underwater. Your life jacket really helps to keep you buoyant, to, you know, do your turn, your flip. But, you know, we just had a death this year on Echo Reservoir, somebody in a kayak on flat water not wearing a life jacket. It can happen. And so I think it's absurd, personally, this proposal to eliminate the use of life jackets. I've taken groups out, and with the nonprofit group that I was with, it was part of our insurance requirement. You had to have life jackets and people wearing them. If you didn't, you put the organization at risk for a lawsuit for being negligent. And it just is common sense to wear a life jacket when you're on water, because water is inherently dangerous. It doesn't look dangerous all the time, but it's inherently dangerous. And I think this is a bad idea. I don't know that legislators are going to go for this. Although our state legislature, you know, they're pretty responsive to the motorcycle helmet constituency. This is the same kind of an issue. It's that libertarian freedom to do what we want to do as we use our recreational vehicle movement. And the legislature has been very receptive to those people and opposed to, you know, doing anything to restrict that, because they know the pushback will come.
Yeah.
I don't know if the pushback is there from the boating community. Yeah, well, we're gonna, we'll do public comment in just a minute. John?
Well, I agree. I think it needs to stay the way it is. I know on the upper green, when they fall off the boat, it's 54 degrees in that water, from about 90 to 100 degrees. And if they don't have a life jacket, about half of them drowned. So I think it's better to leave it exactly the way it is. It seems to be working, and like they were saying, our fatalities are down. Why do we want to increase them?
Yeah. Jenny?
Yeah, I just want to reinforce, I agree with everything that's been said. I think it's absurd to think that we wouldn't require that. I would like to see it required on boats, honestly, all the time for adults as well. And it just goes to show with those low numbers how, you know, what we're doing is already the right thing. So there's no reason to change something that's not broken. I also wonder if this would impact, if it, let's say it were changed, would outfitters still, you know, with their insurance and liability, would they still have the power if they so chose to enforce it anyway? If they would,
Absolutely.
okay, yeah, because if they could say, you know, I don't really care what the law is, my liability says you have to have a life jacket regardless. So I would
Yeah.
want to make sure that that stayed in place. Yeah.
Anybody else from the council? Okay. Let's go ahead and open it for public comment. I see we've got a couple hands. Bill Qua. And we've got.
They get two behind
Yeah,
them.
I've got that. I see you. My eyes in my back of my head. Bill? If you could go ahead and mic up, Bill.
Needs to unmute.
Yeah, there you go.
Hear me?
Yes, yeah, go ahead and identify yourself again, please, for the record.
Bill Quap, representing Stillwater users in the fly fishing community. I think I've done lots of rivers over many years before moving to Utah, which has few rivers. And I think the only issue I have a problem with is allowing common sense to rule also. And I've done both whitewater on the main salmon, the middle fork of the salmon. And this is an issue where mandatory wearing of life vest for adults, that's adults, and I'll define it maybe 16 and over, may be a bit intrusive in flat water areas, which there are many on the main Salmon River. And so while in general, I subscribe to the rule, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think one ought to just consider that some portions of some rivers, adults can safely navigate in a boat with very little risk to anybody but themselves. With youngsters, that's a different story. I've seen a scout leader take a bunch of youngsters down the Green River a few years ago, and myself and another fellow in a drift boat, we worked at rescuing these kids. They had wrapped their raft around a major rock. It has a name, but I don't remember it. And anyway, so probably the best thing is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But on the other hand, some discretion in enforcement might be worth trying to consider how it could be in the right areas of the right rivers, mandatory, and seems to a little overreach.
Thank you, Bill. I thought we had a second person online. Did we have, was there anybody else online?
No, just Bill.
Just Bill? And somebody named, Shane is our support. Okay. All right. Let's open up for public comment for the live in-person. You can come up and sit close to the microphone so we can hear you if you would.
Sure.
Identify yourself and maybe any group that you would be representing.
Absolutely.
And you have 3 minutes.
I'll try to be brief. Okay. Good evening, Chair and members of the Boating Advisory Council. I appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts with you. My name is Mikkel Christensen. I'm here representing the Utah Drowning Prevention Coalition, as well as the Utah Recreation and Parks Association Aquatic Professionals. So that's people who run pools across the state. And as a recreation advocate for Utah's lakes, rivers, and reservoirs. I'm here to support continuing Utah's life jacket mandatory wear requirements. Utah's rules are clear and targeted to the highest risk situations. As we've already discussed, those are required on personal watercraft, children under 12, and then every person on a river except for in designated areas that we've talked about. The rule addresses that, or reinforces that moving water is uniquely unforgiving. These provisions create simple rules that boaters can remember and apply. The evidence behind these policies are strong. Nationally, 75% of recreational boating deaths were drownings, and 87% of those victims were not wearing a life jacket. Falls overboard, capsizes, and voluntarily entering the water accounted for over half of fatal deaths and events. Exactly the scenarios where a worn PFE buys time, flotation, and visibility. Through 2024 and so far in 2025, there have been 120 EMS responses to rivers, lakes, and reservoir areas. Not all of those resulted in fatalities, but there have been 120 circumstances. Utah's recent experiences point the same direction. Ahead of Labor Day, the state and TIES group reported that 10 drownings have happened so far this year, and 9 of 10 of those victims have not been wearing life jackets. It's a sobering reminder that our problem is choosing to wear a life jacket, especially when the water is dynamic, cold, and fast, and changing conditions are present. The current framework for fits how Utahns recreate. Utahns recreate on water. On our waters, more paddlecraft and personal watercraft use are happening every year, often by newer boaters. Utah's public guidance already emphasizes that kids under 12 must wear a life jacket. Personal watercraft operators do. Anyone towed and anyone on rivers, except in those scenarios we talked about. So simple, consistent cues that build a culture of safety. Keeping these requirements intact sustains the clarity and consistency. From an education and enforcement standpoint, rules reduce the ambiguity on the water. Clear wear groups, areas help educate and enforce when needed. They also keep Utahns safe or in step with national best practices. Lastly, I'd like to touch briefly on the community costs. Drownings pull responders from multiple jurisdictions, rip through families, and impact local economies that depend on safe recreation. Life jackets are the simple, most effective, lowest cost intervention we have. When people wear them, they survive. When they don't, too many don't go home. In conclusion, Utah's current life jacket rules are evidence-based, easy to communicate, and tailored to our risk. I urge the council to continue to support the requirement to wear life jackets so we keep making progress toward the only acceptable goals on our waters. Everyone has access, everyone has fun, everyone gets home every time. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate that.
You got all that in.
I'm sorry, did I make it?
Just a little over, but that's
All
okay.
right.
We're being generous
I
here.
think the very last thing to touch on is just Utahns need to help. I empathize with Bill and him talking about responding to another group. I think when we are in that situation as Utahns, we have the desire to help. And if we don't have a life jacket already on, it makes it really difficult for us to go figure out how to put one on to then go help. So I think a lot of our fatalities have been adults trying to help children or adults trying to help elderly that they'll then end up becoming drowning victims as well. So just having it already on makes the most sense. Now I'm done.
3.5. My name is Trish Hull. I'm chair of the Utah Drowning Prevention Coalition. Obviously, I'm going to say this doesn't need to change. It isn't broken. And I think what we don't recognize is that we underestimate the conditions of the water and what could happen, and we overestimate our own abilities. And maybe you say it's still water, but still water can change. Conditions can change. A storm can come in. You never know. A boat can catch on fire. Often that's what happens. Every week this summer there were drownings, and it just breaks your heart. And it isn't just affecting the person who dies, or they may not die, but they may be revived, but their life changes. Their quality of life changes. Just because you survived a drowning doesn't mean you're back to normal. It also affects the first responders who have to deal with these situations. And I think it's very important, and communities and everyone. We've met so many people who have been involved with drownings, and it's preventable. That's the crazy part. It is preventable. It's the #1 preventable death, just wearing a life jacket. If the legislature gives you fits, we are happy to come and testify on the Hill. And we can bring a whole lot of other people to help testify the importance of this. I don't want to see anybody else drown. The sad ones, and it was on the Weber River, they weren't in the craft. But it was those boys, 7 boys were playing paintball. They decided to cool off. They jumped in the river. 6 came up and 1 didn't. It's just, it happens. And just, gentlemen, there's a room full of you. You're 3 times more likely to drown than win. So.
There are life jackets.
That's right. Bill. So wear your life jackets, man. I can't, there's just no reason not to. I mean, okay, maybe it's a little uncomfortable, but you know what? I'd rather be alive. And there's some great life jackets out there now that aren't that uncomfortable anymore. Ty has one. They're terrific. So thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate your time.
Well, your comment about flat water and wind, Utah Lake's a great example of a situation where people have drowned, and the windstorm, the fetch on Utah Lake is extremely dangerous, right? And it can just come up.
Jeff, got a hand up?
Yep.
May I comment as a member of the public, please?
Sure.
Excellent. I would like to say, I will, I'll take off my do everything. So I used to live,
Identify yourself.
my name's Nicole Hanna, and I am a citizen. I live in Salt Lake, which I know is a crime, but let's all get past that. So I just wanted to touch on a couple things, which is when you teach kids from a really early age that life jackets are just part of the deal, they tend not to fight, or at least my kids didn't fight about it when it was like, we're going water skiing and you wear a life vest, or we don't go water skiing. It was a pretty easy decision. And I'd also like to reiterate that the developments in life vests are just incredible. I mean, my daughter has one that she literally wears 12 hours a day every summer, and it's just like a bathing suit. And so I think that any of the arguments about it being uncomfortable or bulky or preventing you from recreating in the way that you'd like to recreate, I just don't put a lot of credence in those, I'll put it that way. And the other thing that I would like to say, and this is really important because we had, living next to the C&O Canal on the East Coast, we had a lot of drownings, and it was in a foot of water, which is almost hard, it's hard to believe, but all you have to do is have one branch that sticks up and you smack the back of your head on it, and it's the difference between the life jacket bringing you back up and not bringing you back up. So I would just like to say, as a concerned mother and constituent, that I think that the laws are currently working well. You've documented that, and I don't see a reason to change that. And then now, putting on my attorney hat, changing that would have an impact on potential liability to the state and all of those people involved in all of those rescue efforts. And the last thing in the world you want would be to be a good Samaritan that comes in to try to help out and then get sued or get brought into a lawsuit with Division of Recreation because of something that happens. I apologize if I went over 3 minutes. I'm a lawyer. Zero.
Thank you. Yeah.
Comment. I think
Identify yourself again.
Oh, Ed asked you. I think our rules are broken because you got these new these stand-up paddleboard things, and I was down on July 5th on my expense, a $500 boat at Otter Creek, and this lady was standing on that board going. She had her life jacket at the very front and a wave fit, and she went flying off the back. The board went scooting away, and luckily I heard her screaming, and I went over there and helped her. But her life jacket was way far away, and she was never getting to it, and she wasn't wearing it. And I just think it's crazy for us to have these people, and it was on a lake, to not be able, because those boards just go flying away and then you're swimming. And I think it's crazy not to have them have to wear a life jacket.
That's the motion, I'll support that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I had on my expensive boat, I always wear my life jacket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a mishap, it went off, I was laying on the side and scared the crap out of me because I forgot to put it on, and I thought I punctured my expensive boat and I was gonna go swimming. But yeah, I think something needs to be done because I don't know how many drownings there was, and it was flat water last year. It seemed like it was all over.
Well, the one at Echo is really, I think, a flagship example of it can happen to anybody, anytime, any vessel.
Doesn't discriminate.
Well, there was a guy that tried to save somebody too, and he drowned. I can't remember what.
Silver Lake.
Yeah. So I don't know, something needs
And
to
the
be
two
changed.
at Deer Creek last year, there've been several.
So you don't be golden rule, life jackets.
Yes.
They don't work if you don't wear them.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think
Okay, any other comments from the public? Thank you all for your comments and
Thanks for having
being
us.
here and
Yes.
waiting through the rest of the agenda to get your comments
I
in.
suspect when they get yours.
Comments.
I think.
Let us know.
Okay, any other comments that we haven't?
Whittle line
entertained or identified or recognized?
They will cut me off at 3.
Okay, if not, we'll close the public comment for this. There is no proposed action item, but I think, Ty, you've probably heard an earful or 2 earfuls. And Brian, you've kind of heard also, I imagine you'll have some input into this when it comes around.
Yeah, you will.
You can't escape this one. But hopefully, this will die in the legislature. I hope. That's my personal opinion. It's a bad idea. Okay, anything else we need to do on this one for you, Ty?
I think it's good,
Okay.
plain and clear, and I'm not finding a more public way of, good way of saying that. The statistics have not lied. How's that? Supporting the way I feel about that. So personal experience and statistics do not lie. So.
All right, very good. We're a little bit behind on our, but not too far. We're about 2 minutes behind. So our next item is an update on the Clean Vessel Act and boating access grants from Jorge.
Yeah, and I'll be super quick on this. It's just like I said, just a real quick update on how the Clean Vessel Act is going, as well as boating access. More specifically, Clean Vessel Act was opened this last month, beginning of October, for getting proposals for the Clean Vessel Act. That closes on the 31st, at least on our state side. Obviously, things are different with the federal government, and it's being closed as of right now. So we're waiting on some things, and they can't work on their side. And so as soon as we're able to get updates from them, we'll know officially when their application is over, or their deadlines are met, because it's going to be pushed back because of that closure.
So applicants then will have 2 applications to
No,
fill?
so they're just filling out our application, but our deadline's still the 31st. That way we're prepared and ready to submit.
That list of applicants to the
yes.
federal government. Okay.
Yes, so it gives us a little bit more time, so it's beneficial to a certain extent. Obviously, not really, but so that's kind of the same thing with boating access. I think their deadline was the same thing with the 31st of October. And then really, I more so was wanting to kind of ask for, I could send out some more information via email, but wanted to get just some general guidance from the council in terms of how they would maybe potentially like to see their scoring meeting go. I mean, obviously we had one at the beginning of this year for Clean Vessel, but obviously
that was boating access.
Boating access. Yes, that's right. Thank you for correcting me. That one was boating access, but we're wanting to just make the process a little bit easier and a little bit better. And we're meeting with Craig to try and do that as well. Try and combine our systems to the best that we can from what we had last time. But again, just asking for general guidance of what else you all are wanting to see and how we could better make that a better process.
So I think the system worked pretty well. It was just a little more advanced notice of what's going on. I didn't personally have any issues with the scoring system. And I'd have to look at it real closer to see if there were any tweaks, but it worked through it. So, we achieved success. Whether we can be more efficient, but just a little more advanced notice on what we're looking at, so we can research, investigate a little more thoroughly.
Typically, we kind of have like a pre-scoring meeting. It typically is what we have with our grants, and so that's ideally what we're going to be shooting for, is having like a pre-scoring meeting, so that way I can run through what the system's going to look like and how you all should be scoring. So I'll definitely have that, and I'll reach out and
cool.
Ask to set up.
So maybe that could be an agenda item for our next advisory council meeting, is focusing on those 2 grants and that process and the applicants and
Yes.
what the projects are, and just gonna give us more time to reflect and think about, like George was saying, more time to look at proposals and what's being, is it really needed or not?
And
Yes.
I wouldn't say, one of the things that I do remember from the reports back from you all with that was the scoring matrix that was there sometimes didn't fully line up with what the applications were in that. So we're getting that put together. Again, this is two agencies collaborating, working and getting this done, but we want to get it to where we want to mitigate as much confusion as possible.
And that pre-scoring meeting, that would assist with.
That would be good. And that's a big thing that Grants has been really pushing and moving towards, and it's really well put
I
together.
think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from other committee members about these upcoming grant reviews in the process? Okay.
So I just get one more reiteration with this. So we are accepting applications. We are going to be grading applications. The federal notice of funding opportunity has not been issued for either one. It should have been issued back in
Mid-September.
September, or it should have been, the opening should have been mid-September. The notice for, I'm just gonna say the acronym, the NOFO, for it, yes, it's a great acronym.
I love that.
That acronym's a great one. So the NOFO has not been issued, and with that, we do not know any dates or deadlines with it. We are trying to be ahead. This is one thing the state of Utah has benefited from, especially with the U.S. Coast Guard grant that comes along with that. That is something that we benefited from last year. We were one of 5 states that hit the end of third quarter, and we had received our full payment. Only 5 states have received their payment. The money's starting to come out, but most of these states ask for payment either monthly, quarterly, and they hadn't received any payment by quarter 3 with it. So there's several states that have been seriously hurt with this. So we're trying to be ahead to where we can get them in, make that deadline, and be done. Because the window is shorter, but if we have all of our ducks in a row, which he does, and Craig does very well, both of them, we'll make it so.
Okay. Great. Any other discussion, questions? Okay, so we'll just look forward to maybe having this on whatever our next meeting date would be as an agenda item.
It would probably be y'all having set the next meeting, and then before that, I'll probably reach out and be like, hey, let's have a quick pre-scoring meeting on this. And so
or can we make the pre-scoring meeting part of our agenda and just not have a separate meeting for that?
It just kind of depends on how long we're looking to run, and I guess what else is on that meeting.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if it's just pre-scoring, then it might not be so bad, right? It's not actually doing the
I guess
scoring.
the idea more so with like the pre-scoring meeting is to give you the show you the applications, talk about it a little bit, and then from there you all review the applications, and then we come back and do another meeting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
yeah.
it'd probably be 2 separate meetings.
Yeah. I don't see a problem in having it as part of our regular agenda.
Well, I think it would depend on what other stuff, because the pre-scoring, I think, should be an important component. But if there's a lot of other voting advisory business going on.
Yeah, we'll balance it out.
It would be better to split it, so you could focus on
One
pre-scoring
yeah.
stuff, so we all know what's what with the applications. So that the next time, we have the other meeting, that may have business with it, but the scoring goes quick because we've already discussed it.
Yes. So
Yeah, so we'll figure that out, because, I mean, this was an unusual agenda because we had some pretty specific rule policy type agenda items, right? But we haven't had these kind of items on our agenda yet. So we've been mostly doing kind of grant and talking about bylaws and stuff.
Which
so.
I loved having these, by the way. Like this has been really awesome to see how engaged and how many people have come to talk. It's been really great to see.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll have an advance meeting with Jason, myself, and Jorge and Ty, and we'll talk about whether we can fit in a pre-score
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're trying to look at is if we can get them entered in, so approved, the applications entered in a timely fashion, it's helping us. So like last year, we approved what?
13.
Well, but it was the date. Were we in January or were we in February?
Oh, no, we didn't do the approval
March.
until March, right?
Okay, that put us like really, it didn't put us, it put the Division of Wildlife Resources in a real big rush time trying to get everything in.
Yeah.
Traditionally, and I think we had some of this was in there, we tried to do a November, maybe early December meeting to do this. So that's something that we need to look at. So we may look at a pre one, maybe virtual, if we can announce that public meeting with that and do a pre. Or what do we?
I don't think we have to have it as a public meeting.
Oh, I'm happy to contribute. I just didn't know.
Well, I'm just asking from this point, the council is here and we're teaching them on how to score and giving them information. That is by all means, that is a open public meeting.
Right.
With that, because the council's convened and doing that. So we could do a full virtual meeting on that to cut travel time and things, because there's you can see quite a few folks in here. They don't want to push Salt Lake County at 4:00 in the afternoon. I don't like pushing through Salt Lake County at 4:00 in the afternoon with that. So with that being said, is we can do virtual in that aspect, have our give the information out, do in essence, the training, and that's the agenda item for that. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, and I thought we said in our bylaws that a training informational type of meeting doesn't require a public meeting posting notification.
Yeah, but the problem is that the Open Meetings Act trumps that.
Yeah.
So your bylaws, it goes statute, rule, which is where your kind of bylaws are in there, and then policy is over here. So you can change policy just by changing the policy. You don't have to go through any process. The rules process, right, you're talking 3 to 6 months. And then the statutory is in effect, from May, I can't remember when it is every year, but the statute's gonna control there.
Right, but I thought
so
that we went through this.
What we have to be careful about with scoring the applications is that everything in an open meeting then becomes a public document. And so we need to be very careful about the information that we share, because to the extent that we cannot make private information public unnecessarily, I think we should be conscientious of that. And I think that that's what people who apply for state grants expect and want, personally. And I have no problems protecting I've represented farmers for 10 years, so we protect information like nobody's business.
Yeah, I thought we had distinguished though, like the scoring meeting, the official scoring meeting was a public meeting that had to be noticed. But if we're just doing an information about how we're going to go about doing the scoring, that was not considered the same type of public meeting.
So that
We would need to look very specifically at what you guys are doing, because it gets really technical. And I'll tell you frankly that, so you have 90 days to complain about something that happened in an Open Meeting Act, okay? So it's a very short time frame. However, the punishment or the kind of the punishments for doing it aren't really worth it. It just doesn't make sense, And so let's just talk through what we can do, because I think I represented like 20 or 30 boards at the Department of Agriculture, and we came up with ways where we could still have a lot of the information available for the scoring committee, but keep some of that information private.
So look into that. From my general understanding, and Patrick, maybe you can help me out here, but from our other meetings with like pre-scorings for grants, is that normally?
They're non-council related.
They're non-councils. It's not a publicly noticed meeting.
It's 100% that.
That's the issue is where we call people together, we gain a quorum, we go through and we talk business as a group, which would be the council with that.
But a true training on what to expect, and I think a training you could.
Okay, but we could not talk about any other business.
Right.
Not even
Right,
anything
so it
close.
would have to be a
So
separate
we
meeting.
would
to
have
avoid.
to work with you on content and
Yes,
everything with that one
absolutely,
there.
yeah,
So-
and it's gonna be uncomfortable, because I'm gonna tell you guys not to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So-
Ty, I'm happy to add in if you want. I mean, anytime we do pre-scoring meetings, they are always like posted as public meetings, just because inevitably, right, we're gonna talk some form of business. But just to like clarify on the intent, it really is just to get everyone comfortable with the scoring metrics, the evaluation process. Just make sure, you know, if we've noticed certain trends in applications, we want to be able to just flag those. And so nothing like substantive is actually being decided, but you know, inevitably businesses talked, but it's really just about like letting you know, like, these are the applications, this is what we're seeing, this is how you evaluate them, do you have any questions? So it's, I mean, it's pretty much that simple, but we found it to be very, very effective in just getting expectations just, you know, shared and just setting us up for just a really productive scoring meeting. So
Okay, we'll work through it.
Thanks, Patrick.
Okay. Anything else on this item?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Our last real action item would be to set future meetings, plural or singular. If we're going to be looking at pre-scoring and we want to get ahead of the game, it might be necessary to do a November, early December meeting in order to stay on schedule. Normally, December meetings are problematic for people, but if we do it early enough in December, we can probably avoid holiday travel. So what are people's opinions about our next meeting date? I'm open for
So you're
November
looking-
or early December.
Just one meeting? Or are we looking at two?
It would probably be two.
So we may have to have two meetings.
Two meetings with that.
The pre-scoring would be really, I would think quick though.
Maybe an hour. Okay. So we might be looking at two meetings. So are people comfortable with two meetings, one focused on pre-scoring criteria process? The other meeting would be a general advisory committee meeting, and any topic could be on the agenda.
And also it would be doing the voting on the grants, right?
We wouldn't be voting on the
second
grants.
ones with that?
On the second one, it'd be more of a actual scoring of the
The
grants.
scoring of the grants.
Oh,
So you guys would be filling out your matrix and then we would have our discussion on that and then set what the priorities would be on the second meeting.
Okay, so then that would go back to George's point, you know, having enough time. So you're saying a pre-score meeting and then almost on top of that would be the scoring meeting?
Well, depending on how much time you want to give your guy, how much time you guys want in between.
Right. So the applications close at the end of this month, so that's about 10 days from now. And then how much time does it take, Jorge, to actually compile and organize the applicants and the descriptions of the projects?
So for Clean Vessel, it won't take very long, just because I don't anticipate having like tons and tons and tons of applications. I would be more curious to hear where Craig's at.
That's a big one. It's going to hinge on Craig.
With his voting access applications, because it's
It takes it more time for him.
Mhm.
So is it feasible then to have a pre-scoring meeting in November and then a meeting where we do the scoring in January?
Earlier, probably pre-session, before session, so before, probably the first.
Do it the
just shortly.
second week of January,
Do
everybody's
that.
back from school vacations and stuff, it's
Yeah.
like the 6th or
Yes.
7th.
So
That
before the
might be a
19th.
really good
Yeah,
week.
that would be a good week for that one.
What do you think, George?
Works.
November and then early January?
Is that gonna work for you guys as far as getting the information you need?
I think that'll help Craig.
So for January, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
The only thing that I would say for November is that I do have a grants tour that we're, trying to double check where I'll be traveling throughout the state presenting on our grants for a week. That's the
And we do have a
7th,
holiday.
that's the 17th through the 21st, so it would be closer to the beginning of the, no,
So should we do early December for a pre-scoring meeting, and then that gets us away from Thanksgiving?
that would,
And then we have hopefully a month or 6 weeks to digest and then convene a scoring meeting in early January.
and I think that would give time, ample time for Craig.
Okay, so what are people's opinions about, oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, you have your second half of the grant store on that second week in December.
Second week of December,
Okay.
yeah. So that would work if it's the first week of December.
So what about first week of December for everybody for a pre-scoring meeting that would include both grants, right? Jorge?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody opposed to that? DeWitt says good. Adam, are you good? Jason's good.
I'm good.
Adam? Jenny's good. Tim's good. John? Is John still with us?
John's still good.
Okay. And did we get Tim? We got Tim there. So we got everybody that's online. Jenny?
She said she was good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so early December, what about the first Tuesday of December?
Tuesday the 2nd?
December 2nd. 4 o'clock.
Do it.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
If you're opposed, say yes, otherwise we'll, I'll say acquiescence is a yes. Okay, so let's do December 2nd for our pre-scoring meeting. And we'll try to do that virtually. Although I'm available, I don't mind coming here
So
in person.
I can't remember if you guys have a rule that allows full virtual
We do.
meetings. You do. I apologize, just double checking.
I gotta remember where it's stored.
And you have to show it to me.
Well, I'll dig through it and find it for you, Nicole. So
But if not, the nice thing about it is you literally can have a staff,
Yeah.
just one staff member in the room here and everyone else can be virtual. I mean,
Yeah.
I can sit here.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Okay,
And as
So-
Patrick said, it shouldn't be more than 2 hours.
1 to 2 hours, yeah.
I don't.
But we're gonna cover both grants, so,
Yeah.
half hour for one and maybe 50 minutes for the other, who knows?
And we're chatting with Craig here at the end of the month, and I'm sure we can work something out to where we align to a certain extent, right? Align what we're looking for.
Okay.
So,
All right, and then one would be the follow-up scoring meeting, that would be early January. The session usually starts it's the first
Martin
Tuesday
Luther
after
King.
Martin Luther King Day. So usually the 19th, 20th, in that
The
range.
session begins the 20th of January.
20th of January is when the session starts. So if we back it up,
So if we did the week of the 5th, January 5th, so that would be Tuesday the 6th.
that works for me. January 6th, thumbs up if you're good with January 6th for a scoring meeting,
Yeah, I'm good with January 6th. This is Jen Knudsen.
okay?
Well, this is
Jim,
Larson. If
good.
I'm late, it's my fault. I got commission meeting on that day every time, but I'll be here.
Okay,
Is it Tuesdays are the bad days?
hey, John, is Tuesdays are they generally the bad days for you?
No, normally they're good. It's just depends on how long the commission meeting goes. We start at 3 and usually I'm done by quarter after because I'm speedy. But sometimes it goes till 4 or 5.
okay, all right, so
So
4 o'clock.
let's plan it and I'll be here when I get here.
Okay. So January 6th, 4 o'clock, December 2nd, 4 o'clock. Those are our next 2 meetings. All right.
Pre and scoring. So it's the
Pre-scoring is
pre-training
December,
and scoring.
and then scoring is in January.
And I think we'll have some things in there. I know that there's been some hiccups on the website applications
Oh.
for Craig. So
Okay,
hopefully we can get everything there. I think the last that they got it figured out. They had one applicant that was having some issues.
yeah, there's always one. has
So
technology issues.
it's tech is the way it is. And then, if they're Amazon Web Services, then,
You never know when it's gonna go out. Okay. Any other business that anybody would like to mention, announcements, events? I just had an interesting meeting today, random meeting. I met a guy, Roy Webb, maybe, Jason, you know Roy? And he was telling me about the River Runners Hall of Fame. I didn't know about the River Runners Hall of Fame. There was an induction recently of some new members to the Hall of Fame.
Well, is it happened yet? I don't think it's happened yet.
He mentioned there was a recent one, and Gary Nichols was inducted, and he had his, all his family members that were still alive there. And he mentioned some other names. But yeah, Roy, I've never met Roy Webb before, but he's pretty deeply involved in river running, and interesting to know. I was just in Green River for a client, and I didn't notice that they had posters. He said they had big posters in Green River for the inductees.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess it was beginning of the month. Totally missed it.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Who made that motion?
Larson.
Okay, John Larson moved to adjourn. Second,
I'll second that, Jen Knudsen.
Jen Knudsen. There's no discussion on that type of motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That actually should be bye. All right. Well, thank you. Great meeting, good discussions, and we only went over 8 minutes, so that was pretty good. So thank you. I appreciate all your
Thanks, guys.
time, attendance, and involvement.
See you next time, guys.
We're gonna have to come up, what, are we done?
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done.